Thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening, and thanks for watching Biz 15, the voice of the SME. Joined by the usual, Andrew, Rowley, Business Support Director here at Brook, and really pleased to have Max here today from MG Depot in Castleford. Now, we got introduced on LinkedIn, didn't we? What would it have been, about 2 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, just as you are getting involved in Brook, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. So can you just give us a little bit more about your business, Max? So just an introduction to you, what MG Depot do, where you operate, what markets you sell into, and kind of just a little bit more about the business.
Yeah, so we operate out of Castleford. There's 25 of us, metal manufacturing business, but we've focus on street furniture, security products, construction related items, all metalwork predominantly, but we do get involved in timber products as well. Selling into mainly construction and retail environments now. We've got a big supermarket chain who we supply vast majority of their stores into, and that's about it.
So how's the last 2 years been for you, Max? Because like you mentioned, we got introduced just before, I think it was just before everything got locked down, because we were looking at doing some ISO, so some quality and environmental management work with you, which still went ahead, but how we delivered it was completely different then to how we were originally going to deliver it, because we then just got chucked into, well, we can't actually get out on site, we can't do this and we can't do that. How was the business during that time? Was it challenging? How did you overcome it?
Business was good, sales were good, the control of the business was bad.
Yeah.
We try, because we're manufacturing, we've got half of the business in the office, the team, and half of the business on the shop floor, actually production wise. So we had the difficulty between the office team could work from home, the production team could work of it, needed to do their job in the actual manufacturing facility. In hindsight, we should have closed the doors and we should have not tried to continue, because without the management team there and without the actual office, the day-to-day management team in place, the quality dropped, the production efficiencies dropped, and it did head us down a bad road, in all fairness.
Was that just from purely not having any form of management control actually in place to oversee everything that the production teams were doing?
Absolutely, yeah. We just had a poor management structure and authority in place at that time. Not blaming any one individual, it was just set up wrong. And that really demonstrated that the system wasn't in place, what should have been. People in the business didn't understand the quality procedures. Although they understood the standard, they didn't understand the actual sign-off, final sign-off.
Has that had any knock-on effect then, sort of?
It did. It put us into a bit of a big downward spiral. We came out of that April 21. Absolute restructure of the business. All the team were retained, but we did go through a full business restructure. But we've come through it a lot better. We have got absolute resilience and persistence at our place. So although we're a bit more battle scarred, we've come out of it a lot better.
But you wouldn't have known what to have done, though. No one would have known what to have done. And you would have had to trial a certain process or a certain way of management or a certain production method that you weren't physically able to, that you wouldn't have been doing because you've had to change because of all the restrictions in place. And no one can blame anybody for trying something, can they? That's the thing.
No, I think what it was, we've been at the point of when we entered the pandemic, we've been in business about 12, 13 years, something like that. And I think we'd got that used to just like tribal knowledge in the business of we just knew what to do, you know, and one person picked up where the other one didn't. As soon as you removed half the team, it just comes so disjointed. So coming out the back of it, it's just really made us focus on systems, procedures, sign off, and we're better off for it now.
What are those systems, procedures, and sign off? And what was it previously, and what is it now? And are those procedures that you've put in place and processes and systems best practice in the business now? Yeah.
So when Mike came in, your dad, the first thing what we focused on was the root cause and the potential points of problems. So instead of just looking at the back end of the business, we've got of the manufactured products. Some of the products have got 3 production, processing them. Some of them have got 20 in them. So it's right about having catch points at the right time to stop it progressing into a big problem at the end of it, and ultimately being delivered to the client, which is what happened COVID times. Whereas now everything's actually identified at the correct point, so we're absolutely minimising the amount of defects going through and getting handed on down the line. So that's the biggest thing, really. Stop the problem right at source.
Root cause is like the first thing that we would do, really, in going into a business, to identify a quality problem, because the problem's not at the end, is it? The problem is identified at the end. It's then working out where it actually is, the real issue that's causing the quality to fall down, and that could be products, it could be people, it could be a process that amalgamates both of them. The root cause analysis will just flush all that out, won't it?
Yeah, that's it. The hardship for us is getting the team to understand that you've got to treat each of our individual polishing, the production cells, not the polishing cells, sorry, the production cells, as a subcontractor into the business, and sort of almost treat it as a goods in, goods out procedure. Just because it's come off the saw, don't assume that it's right. Don't accept that it's right. QC it yourself, send it back. That's the catch point, because the team are great, they're really good and skilled at what they do, so they just rectify problems.
So I guess you went through a bit of hell around that, but has it actually made your day-to-day life better?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, we've got a really good, strong management team in now. I'm, for a lot of years, I wouldn't have been able to, have the chance to leave the factory, to come here and do that. On top of that, we've got 2 young kids, same as you, Dom. That's been a bit of a hard one as well. So the kids are a bit older now. The business and the team's in place now. So yeah, the difference between where I am now and where the business is now to where we were a couple of years ago is just worlds apart. It's brilliant.
How did you come to be part of MG Depot? Because I know, is it a family business? Was it your mum?
No. So yeah. So I used to work I left school, went to a business management course at college. Yeah. And my mum was running a recruitment company at the time, and my mum's brilliant, but it's her way or the highway. That's it. And got a lovely relationship with my mum. I love her to bits. As working relationship wasn't the best. I was sort of, I think it was 22, 23 when we first set up the business, so I thought I knew it all. I knew very little. And then Sally was working at another business, metal stock holding place. She was a bit disillusioned where she was. And we just, Sally's my business partner, she's my sister-in-law. So we just, one day, I think it was a barbecue at her house when we were seeing the kids, we just said, look, why don't we try doing something? And so we did, really. And it were a bit of my naivety and a bit of a carefree approach to everything, that I didn't have any responsibilities. What's the worst thing that could happen? Just let's get on with it and do it. And we've always had a bit of a can-do attitude of, look, let's just make it work. Let's find a way to make it work.
I think that's quite an important trait to actually have in SME land, because you have to create your own destiny, really, don't you? Absolutely. The harder you work, the luckier you get, and that's the analogy that I always use. That you have to have a bit of a JFDI approach to it, where you just crack on and do it, and you make it work. There will be some risk analysis that goes into it to make sure that you're not then just wasting a load of money, and you're just going to be investing and it's not going to work, and you're going to let people down. But most people that get into business have an idea that they want to do, surround themselves with the people that will make it happen, and then it happens, because you've got you know what you're doing, and you surround yourself with people. And if your destination's going to X, but you start to veer off to Z, then someone's there to bump you back in. It's just about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm really lucky to have Sally, as my business partner, and we're really close outside of work, with family ties. She's the uber organised, dot the T's, cross the I. I always say I can't even do that one right. So cross the T's, dot the I's. and I'm the one just project-driven opportunities. Let's go for it and get it. So we've always had this invisible, bungee cord between us, pulling us back together.
It's almost like a good cop, bad cop, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I set the projects up, Sally organises it and gets it over the line, and then I get a bit more involved in the productivity side of it. Over the years, that gap sort of closed. I've got a lot more reined in with what I go for and what projects I headed down, and then Sally's got a bit more involved in actually wanting to get involved and push these projects as well. So yeah, the balance is brilliant now. It's always been the absolute, complementing opposites, but we're a lot more sort of balanced now.
Those sort of things tend to work where you've got people that have got different strengths and you actually play to those strengths. I think the problem is if you butt against them or whatever, then...
And you're going to butt against each other now. Like, you will actually do that. But it's just about resolving it if you do, isn't it?
Yeah, for a lot of years, it was just me and Sally. So it wasn't too bad. The problems came when we started introducing new people. And some people really get on, we get on with everybody in the business, but some people get me and some people do not. It's just a case of, I really do, accounts people's heads in, for instance. the accounts team, they'll just like roll their eyes at me. I'm just like, yes, okay, Max. But because we've got the size of the team now, I'm allowed to do what I'm good at. They're allowed to do what they're good at, and it's just it's brilliant now. We've got such a good sort of synergy of skill set because I think
that's the key there, though, that you allow people to do what you employed them for. I think that's one of the worst things in particularly in a small business where you employ somebody that's got a skill set, but then you don't allow them to do it.
Yeah, I think. That come with the experience from me though, because I delegate well, but I delegate too quick. Yeah. Because I tend to pick things up really quick, but I'll get on with something without reading the instructions. I'll look at the picture and get straight on with it. And that's it. Yeah. The Lego car's built. It's only got 3 wheels, but it can still move a bit. Whereas other people need to understand the actual detail and everything. That's Stella. That's me. But we've got the balance now. And we are looking at that. But it does take time to do that. You've got to have the maturity and experience and the size of the team to be able to do it. Because at the time wearing so many different hats. And some of them hats just definitely did not fit me and my personality. Whereas now you've got to have the confidence to say, whoa, that's not my bag. There's a better person for it, which is where we are now. I
think one of the most difficult things about being a business owner is delegation and almost wanting to do everything yourself. Because you can do it, but you haven't got ridiculous amounts of time to be able to spend on things. So it's about identifying and delegating at the right time. But you can delegate too late, and you can also delegate too soon. Like you said, you just go crack on with that and give it to somebody to manage a certain responsibility, and they didn't even know what the brief was.
Correct.
All the way through to you could delegate it too late, and you've got supplier lead times that it's just been piling up on your desk. You delegate it too late, and they've got the person that you send it over to has got 2 hours to do a 10-hour job because we've not been able to plan it correctly. Yes. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. Biz15, the voice of the SME. Follow us on LinkedIn, which is Brook Corporate Developments. Follow us on Instagram, which is Brook Consult, and also Facebook, Brook Consult. And you can listen to these podcasts on Apple and Spotify.